Hello friends, welcome once again to Teaching Tuesdays with Madhuban. Last week we talked about online learning effectively and continuing to the same, today I am going to talk about learning. Learning समझने से पहले एक बड़ी चीज़ मैं समझाना चाहूँगी यहाँ, active learning क्या है? Now, active learning means asking students to engage with the class material by talking, by writing, by highlighting. It could be reading aloud or it could be acting out the scenarios. Now, in this model, students are never passively absorbing the information but are actively engaged in the learning process and creating memories alongside. एक बर्ड की अगर हम बात करें बैक में, तो एक इंटेलिजेंट बर्ड कहलाएगा. उसको हम जो भी बोलेंगे वो पीछे से रिपीट कर सकता है. उसकी लर्निंग स्किल्स बहुत डेवलप्ड हैं. वो नए वर्ड्स भी लर्न कर सकता है. क्या वो इंटेलिजेंट है? थोड़ा सा फर्क समझने की कोशिश करते हैं. Learning is right. It's all about deliberate construction of accessible memories. And that's what a parrot can do. But the parrot would not be called as intelligent because he cannot think. He cannot move ahead from that learning. Now, what is practice? If we talk about practice is that generally increases the likelihood that students will permanently remember new information. This was proved by Anderson in 2008. And what practice does? It increases the students' facility of automaticity. मतलब जो वो सीखता, जो उसने सीख लिया और जो उसने लर्न कर लिया, वो ऑलरेडी उसकी मेमोरी में स्टोर्ड है. और whenever required, that information the student is able to retrieve back from his memory and use it in the problem solving or wherever he needs to apply that knowledge, that previously acquired knowledge. Now this is very effectively done by rote repetition, wherein he is repeatedly doing rehearsal and storing that information in the permanent memory. Now how does this happen that this automaticity will help us that whenever the student is executing a task, it makes things automatic for him. And in the sense that whenever we are attempting on a task, we are using our working memory. And when that working memory is required to be applied to something which requires greater thinking, at that time we need free space in that वर्किंग मेमोरी. फॉर एग्जाम्पल अगर हमने मैथ्स के टेबल्स की हम बात करें, हमने वो मेमोराइज करके हमने बार बार उनको रूट रिपीटेशन से टेबल्स को लर्न कर लिया है, तो जब एक स्टूडेंट को वो टेबल्स को ऑटोमेटिकली मल्टीप्लिकेशन प्रोसेस अप्लाई करने की जरूरत होगी, तो उसको वर्किंग मेमोरी में से स्पेस नहीं यूटिलाइज होगी और वो उसी को रिट्रीव कर लेगा और मल्टीप्लिकेशन में अप्लाई कर लेगा, with the result that he is been able to free his minds to think about another aspect. And this way, why many of us have most creative thoughts while driving or while brushing our teeth, because at that time it's only a repetition. It doesn't require any space in our working memory, whereas जो चीज़ हम सोच रहे होते हैं उसके लिए जगह बनता है. So when students practice solving problems, it further increases their ability to transfer practiced skill to new and more complex problems. And this is true not only in childhood but in the adults as well. Now, how does practice help the student? It helps him to acquire expertise that way in the subject matter, and you can easily make the difference between a novice and an expert. The amount of times he's practiced, he's gone through the material, makes him an expert at the same time. One thing more happens, that cognitive gains from practice often bring about motivation for more learning. When the child is able to effectively do something, he tries on something still harder and is able to achieve that, and that results in a process of motivation that the child has by constantly achieving new milestones. And even more important, I would say that practice is the only one way to make a meaningful contribution to your own knowledge. And हो क्या रहा है कि ये जो प्रैक्टिस जो जब बच्चे को ज़्यादा से ज़्यादा होना शुरू हो जाती है तो वो धीरे धीरे परफेक्शन की तरफ जाने लगता है. बट यहाँ एक सवाल ये आता है कि क्या practice really makes a person perfect? It's an age-old question and an age-old saying as well that holds true. But here I would like to bring your attention to another fact. Whenever we are practicing, we become better at whatever we are practicing. What does it imply? अगर हम कुछ गलत चीज की बार बार रिपीटेशन कर रहे हैं और हम गलत चीज को बार बार प्रैक्टिस कर रहे हैं तो हम उसी चीज को लर्न कर लेंगे, उसी तरीके से लर्न कर लेंगे. सो वी विल बिकम बेटर एट दैट मिस्टेक इटसेल्फ आल्सो. बट वेयरएज अगर हम जो भी हम लर्न कर रहे हैं, हम उसको प्रैक्टिस कर रहे हैं, हम उस पर रिफ्लेक्शन कर रहे हैं, हम उस पर अलॉन्ग साइड हम उस पर सोच रहे हैं, then at that time we will be able to do something what we here call as rehearsed rote repetition. Now this we would term as deliberate practice, which is goal directed, and it's the rehearsal which is paired with reflection on problem solving process. And एक्चुअल में अगर होगा ये कि जो बच्चा धीरे धीरे से जब इसको डेलिब्रेट प्रैक्टिस को एज अ गोल रख के अपने सामने करना शुरू कर देगा और वो सिंपली एक टास्क को रिपीट ही नहीं करता जाएगा, वो अपने आप का एक सेल्फ डायरेक्टेड इम्प्रूवमेंट के लिए एक उसका मोटिवेशन लेवल जब इनहैंस हो जाएगा तो वो अपना ये जो प्रोसेस है जिसमें अटेंशन, रिहर्सल और परफॉर्मेंस, ये तीनों चीजें एक साथ वो करता है. अटेंशन करेगा, रिहर्सल करेगा, फिर उसकी रिपीटेशन करेगा, फिर परफॉर्म करेगा. सो इस सब का साइकिल जब वो एक पूरा कंप्लीट कर लेगा तो वो उसका इम्प्रूवमेंट इन जो परफॉर्मेंस विल बी मच बेटर. नाउ व्हाट हैपेंस इज दैट व्हेन वी आर वांटिंग टू गिव अ नॉलेज टू समथिंग न्यू टू द चाइल्ड, सम न्यू नॉलेज टू द चाइल्ड, then if we allow the child to associate that new piece of information with the already existing background information, it helps to build a greater meaning and increased engagement. और इसको अगर हम एक दूसरे टर्म्स में कहना चाहें तो हम इसको एक्सपीरियंशियल लर्निंग का नाम देंगे. एक्सपीरियंशियल लर्निंग जिसके बारे में NEP में बहुत जिक्र हो रहा है, and that's the in way of taking the classrooms further. So in the experiential learning, if I try to summarize and define experiential learning and narrow down the definition, I can simply put it as learning through reflection and on doing. So it's a hands-on learning that is that can be a form of experiential learning, but that does not learning can be hands-on, but it may or may not involve reflection by the student, which is the key ingredient of experiential learning. Because जब experiential learning की हम बात करें तो एक स्टूडेंट एक hands-on training कर रहा है, फिर उस पे reflect कर रहा है what went right, what went wrong, then he tries to think further about it for the ways of improving upon that same thing, and then acts on it. So it's a 4-component cyclic process, and it is very important for the student to enter into all those 4 areas of that cyclic thing. It doesn't make any difference if he learns first or reflects first or does it later. But the point is that for an experiential learning to happen, the child has to essentially go through these 4 parts of that cyclic process. Now, experiential learning, if we are able to inculcate in our classroom, and if we are able to plan our lesson plans based on the experiential learning, it will benefit the students tremendously. And benefit how? It will improve their performance because their engagement would improve. It would develop their critical thinking skills and coping skills as well. It will enhance their motivation, and then it will definitely result in the improved overall performance by the child. So my friends, we have a long way to go, and let's all embrace these newer things that are coming alongside our way and make our classrooms very, very effective learning arenas. Thank you so much. Next week, we'll come out with yet another episode of Teaching Tuesdays. Till then,